now, we're going to dive straight into our main story tonight, which concerns India, the last country in the world that wants to be discussed by someone with this accent, which is why I'll be doing the rest of tonight's show in this one instead. Everybody love at a Giovanni Oliver show. Mamma mia, buca di beppo. Everybody love it. Yeah, that's right, that's fair.
That's crazy. My man did Islamophobia on Maine. Listen, I, as a fellow Brown, empathize with our fellow oppressed people of Carbonara, okay? He did Freightophobia. As fellow POCs, I mean, we might be people of color, but we too empathize with the fellow POC, the people of Carbonara, okay?
India is in the middle of an election right now, and I do mean in the middle, because voting started several weeks ago and only just ended, with results expected on Tuesday. And it's a long process for a reason. India is the largest country in the world by population, with over 1.4 billion people. That's the equivalent of roughly 4 United States.
We're number one, baby! We're number one! He said Tuesday, innit? We're number one!
That's right, that's fair. That's probably right.
India lying too, sir. India lying too.
Billion people. That's the equivalent of roughly 4 United States, 6 Brazils, 9 Russias, 34 Canadas, or 1.4 billion Kevins. It is a lot of people, and the sheer mechanics of setting up an election that size are mind-blowing.
By law, every voter must be within 2 kilometers, or a little more than a mile, of a polling station. To set them up, officials trek over rough and mountainous terrain and across rivers.
Taking boats, choppers, even horses, trekking through mountains deep in the Himalayas and through lion-infested jungles. Sometimes a team travels 70 kilometers to set up a booth for just one person.
That is incredible. And just imagine if workers dragged a polling place through mountains and rivers just for you, and then you forgot to vote. Oh, was that today? I'm sorry, it slipped my mind. Thanks so much for trekking through that lion-infested jungle for me, though. I'll definitely try and remember next time. Results for India's election will be announced on June 4th. And while we don't yet know who's going to win, we actually kind of do, because it's going to be Narendra Modi, who is overwhelmingly favoured to win a third term. In fact, most experts agree the only...
I hate this already. I hate this shit. Okay, play.
Only real question mark is, how much will he and his party, the BJP, win by? One polling organisation found that he has an approval rating of 74%, more than any world leader they track. And for some Indians...
Oh my God, not that. Okay, guys, Modi's not as popular as you think he is. I swear to God. Everyone's bringing that percentage up without actually understanding an iota of Indian politics. Like this is what is this nonsense? No, there are lots of people that hate Modi, and they'll openly admit they hate Modi. What is this? This is so stupid. Okay.
Part of Modi's appeal is the sense that under his leadership, the country's been on the rise, enjoying increased prominence on the world stage, from Biden hosting Modi for a state visit last year to the Australian Prime Minister introducing him at a packed arena in Sydney with this memorable line.
The last time I saw someone on the stage here was Bruce Springsteen, and he didn't get the welcome that Prime Minister Modi has got.
Doland.
Prime Minister Modi is the boss.
OK, that is some weapons-grade arse-kissing there, and also a pretty strange way of transferring titles. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen didn't get this reaction, so you're the boss now. You also got a bigger reaction than Madonna, Luxembourg's Henri Guillaume and Lizzo, so by the transitive property, you're now queen
His
of...
ass doesn't know who Modi Springsteen is? Yeah, I know.
Pop, the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, and 100% that bitch. Yet despite Modi's popularity, there are some major causes for concern. If you're thinking, haven't you talked about this before, you're half right, because we've actually covered Modi twice before, once 4 years ago, and once for our very first episode, which was, based on this photo, 200 years ago. And those episodes actually stand up pretty well. In fact, I asked my staff to pick a clip that they feel is representative, and they tell me that they found the perfect one, so go ahead and roll it. Hitler is the only one who stepped up and got it done. And for that, I say, way to go, Hitler. Whoa, 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 hold on. That needs a lot more context around it. Fuck you for choosing that.
Okay. Okay, that's
Very basically, what we explained in those episodes is that Modi's party, the BJP, has a long history of espousing Hindu nationalism, essentially rejecting India's history as a pluralistic nation and trying to push it toward becoming an explicitly Hindu one. It's long been affiliated with a paramilitary group called the RSS, whose early leaders admired Hitler. And that, for the record, was the context for that joke. It was a pretty good Hitler joke, so good.
Okay, the RSS saying that they admired Hitler is like, it doesn't go far enough to describe what the RSS is. The RSS derived, as far as I know, they derived much of their organizational tactics from Mussolini's fascists. Saying that it's an understatement. Saying the RSS is inspired by Hitler is an understatement. It is, the organizational structure is in many ways directly plopped from the Italian fascists. In a weird sense, the idea of Aryanism was baked in India, inculcated in India by the colonizers.
Good. In fact, I'm guessing even Hitler would have said, way to go, John, and please do not...
RSS isn't casteist though? No. RSS is definitely What are you talking about? Dog. What? They're like insanely casteist. There is an RSS, there's a Dalit RSS member that literally wrote a book on how he was experiencing casteism. What the hell are you talking about? The RSS are literally pro-Manusmriti. Like, yeah, that's like saying Nazis aren't racist. What the hell are you talking about?
Take that image out of context as well. We also talked about how over the course of Modi's rise, he's chosen to be strategically quiet about his pseudo-authoritarian, pro-Hindu vision of India. But there's been a noticeable...
Pro-Hindus, again, understating it. The thing you have to understand about Islamophobia in India, and my friend Rohan Davis made a wonderful video on it, the anti-Muslim bigotry that exists in India is not based entirely on religion. If you read what Savarkar had to say on the matter, Savarkar and many of the progenitors of the Hindu nationalist movement, they viewed Muslims as a different race of people, or they were Hindus that converted to Islam at some point.
Visible shift in his rhetoric during this election season.
So you have to look at Islamophobia in the subcontinent, or at least in India actually, not as religious bigotry, but it's a racial bigotry. That's the way you got to look at it.
The political party will hand over the country's wealth to Muslims.
The earlier government said the Muslims will have the right over the resources of the country. What does this mean? This means they will gather all the wealth and give it to the people who have more children. They will distribute it among the infiltrators. Do you think your hard-earned money should be distributed to the infiltrators? Do you accept that?
That is Modi referring to India's Muslim
Chat, that was a couple weeks ago. We covered this.
citizens as infiltrators. And that's
or a month ago, actually, something like that.
The only troubling sign. The BJP's produced incendiary videos like this one showing a bird-labelled Muslim being planted in a nest and then consuming all the funding while the other birds get nothing. And look.
Okay, he doesn't understand what's going on here. For the Americans in the chat or that don't understand this cartoon, let me explain it.
Bird-labelled Muslim being planted in a nest.
Okay, so the other eggs that you see are ST, SC, and OBC. Those three categories are part of India's affirmative action scheme called reservation. So what reservation is it's a form of affirmative action baked into the Indian Constitution that basically divvies up seats in public institution based on caste. SCs, STs, and OBCs constitute three of those categories. So there are four categories: scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, otherwise backwards classes, which depending on the state gets divvied up even further. And then you have general category, which technically means everyone can contest the general category, right? So imagine, let's take an example. You're trying to get into college, right? In that particular college, let's say IIT, for example, in theory, there's a set number of seats that are pre-allocated for scheduled caste, the Dalit peoples of India, the most oppressed caste of India, right? And then there's certain seats that are allocated for OBC, right? And then there's general seats. When you take an entrance exam to enter college, the way it works is people who are contesting in the general category, which is, it can be any caste, it doesn't matter. They are basically competing for the first set number of seats, like 30 seats. They fill up general seats first. And then the remaining seats that are not part of the general category, they're divvied up even further among the different overall categories. So it's a form, basically, these three represent the three overall, I guess, demographics within the legal demographics of affirmative action in India. What the BJP is saying here is that they're going to give affirmative action to the Muslims. Now, many Muslims, I think most Muslims today get OBC already. So what the BJP is doing is they're basically saying the Congress is going to steal affirmative action from indigenous people, the most oppressed caste, and the other caste, the middle caste, and give it to the Muslims. So this is wrong on like 8,000 different levels.
And then consuming all the funding while the other birds get nothing. And look.
Yeah, he totally glosses over because he doesn't know what reservation. Most Muslims don't get OBC. I don't remember how it works for Muslims. It depends on the category, I guess. I mean, Muslims are a religion in India, so it depends entirely on what community you come from. There are Muslims in like Ladakh, for example, that get ST automatically. Some OBCs are granted reservation in some states. Yeah, it depends. It's also riling people up, riling upper caste people, like oppressor caste. Yeah, I think I messed up the, yeah. Also, it's like 1:21 a.m. Yeah, there are some Muslim communities that get OBC reservation. Yeah, here we go.
On Narendra Modi, what he's been doing in office and what he might do next. And let's start with why it seems so likely that he's going to be re-elected. Some of his popularity comes from the very real advances that India's made under his leadership, especially when it comes to infrastructure. He initially campaigned on issues like...
Morbi, Gujarat would like to have a word with you, John.
Expanding access to sanitation and water facilities, and has invested billions in a nationwide upgrade of the country's roads, railways, airports and seaports. On top of that, there have been programs to alleviate poverty for which some citizens...
Infrastructure, yeah, they don't get it. No, that's not true. The tunnel in Himachal Pradesh would like a chat with you, John. How true is the development argument? It's nonsense. It's pure nonsense.
% of the population benefits from Modi's food distribution.
Indian correspondents for Western outlets, I swear to God, you are doing so much damage to us.
Scheme, which he has pledged to...
Yeah, literally Nutra, Vande Bharat Express, yeah. Fucking new trains for the rich. Meanwhile, regular trains are overcrowded like never before seen. Train crash in Odisha.
Renew for another 5 years.
Every month they give me 5 kilos of rice and flour. If Modi is no longer the head of the country, I don't think we'll get any help.
Yeah, that's another reason. They have basically kept people dependent on their rations. It's in a very weird... It's not like rations in and of themselves are bad. Giving food is bad. But they are specifically giving out rations to keep people voting for them. That's it.
And that scares me to death. We want Modi in power, not anyone else.
Yeah, you can see why people might love him for that, especially...
No, John, they're not developing proper social safety nets for these people. Also, infrastructure. Niyamgiri Hills would like a word with you, John. The massive pollution that the Dongriya Khons have to face on a regular basis due to Vedanta's mining.
Especially since the grain literally arrives in a bag with his face on it. Which feels a
This is
little
true.
egotistical. It'd be like if Lyndon Johnson signed the Food Stamp Act of 1964 but insisted that food stamps be rebranded as Lyndon's Lucky Yum Yum vouchers. That's still a good programme, but I don't know, man, maybe turn it down a notch. And that's not the only way that Modi has tried to take credit for progress on his watch. Up until this election began, some train stations had Modi selfie booths where you could take a picture with him and symbols of his achievements, from India's space programme to a giant tap representing water connections to a huge bottle of COVID vaccine.
Oh, speaking of which, speaking of COVID, I hope he mentions COVID in the video. I hope he mentions Modi's mishandling of COVID. Pure and utter disaster. Brother man, second highest number of cases and deaths. People had black fungus in India because of India's mismanagement of COVID. People had to get their eyes removed because of black fungus.
It was his not so subtle way of making sure that you associate his face with all of India's wins. Kind of like how Trump makes sure that his name is on all of his products, and Elon Musk models all of his Cybertrucks on his weird penis. I'm not body shaming.
Yogi Adityanath, I will throw anyone who complains about oxygen shortage in jail. Yep.
Just saying his penis does look like that, including the wheels. And that's what he wants you to think about the next time you see one slowly rolling into a tree whenever it rains. Although, I will say, sometimes Modi's tendency to take credit for things can be a bit of a stretch.
In this promotional video, it's even suggested that
Oh my God, it's this video.
he halted the war in Ukraine to ensure the safe return of his citizens.
Modi brought us
Oh
home.
my God, this is amazing. Oh, they got the deep cuts ready. Oh.
He stopped the war, Dad.
Wait, he stopped the war? Are you completely sure about that? Because I feel like I'd remember if Modi had somehow hit pause on the war in Ukraine. Like he took call
War required, Papa.
on a duty day and his mum just called him for dinner.
Oh.
Now, a key thing Modi likes to brag about is his economic record. On his watch, India is growing to become the world's 5th largest economy. It's almost twice.
I hate it when people say, oh, they're going to become the 5th largest economy. What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean by 5th largest economy? That they're going to produce, that they're going to have the 5th highest GDP? Okay, fine. Does that reflect in the social safety nets of the actual economy or no? Because depending on where you are in India, the public hospital system, the public healthcare system is trash. Like, depending on where you are in India, the public health sector is garbage. The wealth inequality between the rich and the poor is higher now than it was under the British. Think about it.
Twice as big as it was, and its stock market has grown threefold since he took office. But those numbers only tell part of the story here. For one thing, the economy was...
Okay. Pre-watched. I think John Oliver is like a secret ArunAnnow head. I really think so.
already improving before Modi took over, so he inherited an upward trajectory. And for another, the precise measures of growth that his government cites have been called into question, with even Modi's former economic aides finding the recent growth rates of 8% announced by the government mystifying. Similarly, while he claims he's lifted millions out of poverty, as this economist points out, that comes with a massive asterisk.
So what the government has done is that it's changed how it is going to define poverty. It's using one multidimensional poverty measure, which is, shall we say, problematic, and which is designed to suggest that less and less people are poor. We have a very, very large number of poor, and all kinds of data are telling us that not only do we still have a very large number of income poor, but other kinds of poverty, like food poverty, may well be increasing.
Right. Anyone can get rid of all poverty if you just change the definition of poor people to something else, like, I don't know, fire hydrants or opposite snakes. And if you're thinking, wait, so there's been substantial growth and increasing poverty at the same time, the reason is, actually, hold on, I can feel that you're getting hung up on something. Opposite snakes are just arms and legs, no face or tail. Basically, 4 legs with things on the end and a butt in the middle covered with hair. Now, if you're wondering how growth and poverty can...
Why? What is the... That is a waste of like 2 seconds of footage. Why would you do this, John?
If you're thinking that growth and... Sorry, viewers at home probably can't tell, but it's got a little bit tense in here. So, quickly, I'll address as many questions as I can. How do opposite snakes eat? Through a vertical...
Okay, we get it. 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 We get it.
Slit on the underside.
Fucking move on.
What are its known predators? Badgers,
fucking move on.
mongoose, any of those gorillas.
Dude, I know. Oh, for fuck's sake. Dude, John, shut up. Move on,
They
move
talk
on,
sign
move on.
language to bees, man, and dolphins. Oh, that's right. If you're wondering how there's been both substantial growth and increasing poverty, that is because India's economic gains have been widely unequal.
Oh, oops. Oops.
By some estimates, just 1 million people now control around 80% of India's wealth. And as they've gotten richer, much of the country has gotten poorer, even with all those bags of grain with his face on them. Under Modi, the country has fallen in the Global Hunger Index and now sits below North Korea and war-torn Sudan. And you would think that all of this would be fertile ground for Modi's critics to exploit. But it's actually hard to do that in India. For one thing, it's difficult to confront him to his face because he hasn't held a single press conference in India in the last 10 years. And the interviews that he's granted have been the exact opposite of hard-hitting.
Uh-oh.
Do you carry a purse on you? A wallet to hold your cash?
Do you have a best friend? Best friend forever?
We watch these interviews.
with whom you share matters of the heart?
At this age, how do you bring so much energy?
Oh my God, Sudhir Chaudhary.
Does our Prime
Oh my God. This is classic.
Minister eat mangoes?
Oh my
Does
God.
he cut it first or eat it with the stone still in?
Okay, most of those questions are embarrassing softballs, but how do you eat a mango is a valid thing to ask. Mangoes are notoriously hard to peel and eat. They're basically fruit juice grenades covered in rhino skin, and it's...
For the record, that last one where he's asking about the mangoes, he's not a journalist. In his defense, famous Canadian citizen. He's also Canadian, for the record. He's an actor and he's also a Canadian citizen. Actually, he used to be a Canadian citizen. He's now back to being an Indian citizen again, actually.
It's not just me who thinks that. There are endless Reddit posts about the subject, including how the hell do you eat a mango? How the fuck do you eat a mango?
You cut it. What the has no one ever eaten a mango before?
What is your go-to plan of attack? And my personal favourite, how does one eat a mango without making a huge mess? With a spoon? With a knife? It's like that fruit was designed by napkin manufacturers, which received the pitch-perfect response, you do not. You accept that the mango is a delicious mess and prepare for it beforehand. Do not make the mango prepare for you.
You just cut it open. Just cut it into slices. It's not that hard. What do you mean?
They need a bib and moist towelettes for the process, but this is simply the way it must be. Which is excellent, because it's true. There is just no way to eat a mango with dignity, ergo, embrace the sloppy chaos of the mango. But it is not just fawning interviews. What criticism there is of Modi often gets suppressed in India, sometimes in a pretty heavy-handed way.
Publications that have done stories critical of India's leadership, like the BBC, recently saw their offices raided on charges of tax evasion or money
covered
laundering.
this.
One of the country's most popular news channels that reported critically on the government, NDTV, had its founders raided for bank fraud.
It's true, not only were the founders of NDTV raided, but a few years later, a billionaire with close ties to Modi bought it.
Here we go.
And its tone is now much friendlier to him. Basically, if you criticise Modi, there's a pretty good chance that things are going to get very unpleasant for you. And given that we're here in America, I'm honestly not too worried about Modi's goons coming after me, but on the off chance that they reach...
Uh-oh. John Oliver, you don't understand. India is not above assassinations. Don't ask for it. They're not above assassinations. You realize that, right?
Does extend this far, you know what? Fucking try it. You want to try and shut us down for being critical? I dare you. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Bill fucking Maher, and my...
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
My show has been on for, holy shit, over 20 years. And if you want to take us down, take your best shot. I, Bill Maher, would welcome it.
Oh, I gotta chuckle. Okay, you gotta chuckle out of me.
India is currently ranked 159th out of 180 countries for press freedom.
By the way, India is ranked below Pakistan. Turkey has a higher press freedom index than India does. They have a lower press freedom index than Somalia, I'm pretty sure. I think Turkey is either just above or just below India. Oh, India has worse press freedom than Palestine does. India ranks lower on the press freedom index than Palestine. I'm not joking. It's under Sri Lanka. Yeah, and Sri Lanka is a country. Do you realize how bad your press has to be in order to be worse than Sri Lanka? For those of you who don't know how bad press freedom in Sri Lanka is, there was a time in Sri Lanka where journalists were just assassinated. Journalists and politicians were assassinated left and right. Tamils. Yeah, okay, I was right. Turkey is better than India. Turkey has better press freedom than India does.
Freedom, that is 19 places lower
I was right.
than when Modi first came to power. But it's not...
Both Turkey and Palestine and Sri Lanka, all of them are higher than India.
Just national media. Local outlets have been targeted too. This network in Kerala was suddenly taken off the air by the government in 2020 for reasons explicitly linked to its content.
The shutdown was triggered by the channel's reporting on anti-Muslim riots in Delhi in February 2020. According to the notice from the Information Ministry, Media One's coverage was biased and critical of the role of the Delhi police and of a Hindu nationalist outfit, the RSS. The ban was soon reversed, the channel back on air, but the signal was clear: fall in line or else.
Yeah, that's not good, because that crackdown creates a clear chilling effect where media outlets may well be intimidated out of criticising Modi. And that could actually help explain why Hotstar, the platform that we were on in 2020, mysteriously chose to block our episode criticising Modi. And look, there are plenty of reasons to not watch this show. Depressing subject matter, too much profanity, and the very fact that the frantic pace of my talking voice causes dogs to, and this is a medical term, go nuts. Also, the show seems biased, it's too long. I prefer Jimmy Fallon, Kimmel, Colbert, Seth, or James Corden. Hi, Mum, by the way. Whatever your reason, at least it's your choice, not someone else's, to not watch. What I'm saying is, meaningful criticism of Modi is scarce on TV in India. In fact, many veteran anchors who were critical of him have migrated to sites like YouTube instead.
There he is, Ravish Kumar.
But the government may soon be able to help heavily regulate digital media too. It's pushing a law which could mean that anyone making social commentary online would have to adhere to advertising and program codes prescribed by the government. Meanwhile, an amendment is working its way through the courts which would establish a fact-check unit allowing the government to identify fake news about itself and order it to be taken down. And I actually have a lead for that fact-check unit. Check out the batshit claim that Modi stopped the war in Ukraine, because there's a weird video going around that you should probably get taken down. And it's not just the press who found it hard to take on Modi. The same goes for his political opposition. He's currently facing off against a coalition called the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance, or India for short, a monumentally weak name for a coalition.
Okay, wrong. This is also a stupid, no, this is totally wrong. This is actually a good name. What the hell are you talking about? It's catchy.
The first I in India stands for Indian. It'd be like if the H...
Okay, dude, who cares? Whatever, man. It's good.
And HBO stood for HBO, which it obviously doesn't. It stands for
what?
Hank's Box Office. The India coalition is led by the Congress Party, the face of which is Rahul Gandhi. And while his party never stood a realistic chance of challenging Modi, even so, its campaign has been significant.
Okay, again, what the fuck are you oh my God, dude. I have been consistently showing my bona fides on the Indian election. We have had Finn Peanut here, who's literally from one of the battleground states. He does not know what the fuck he's talking about. And I'm willing to bet most leftists in the United States, most Americans, don't know shit about Indian politics. Modi and the BJP don't outright rig the election. It is not going to be a comfortable victory for them. I have been yelling this for the past month, and I was right. I was yelling a couple months ago about how Imran Khan got ousted. It was not a direct US-backed coup. It was an internal falling out between General Bajwa and Imran Khan. I've been saying that, and I got yelled at on Twitter for that so-called idiotic take. Come to find out, last week, Mehdi Hassan interviewed Imran Khan. Oh, look, Imran Khan vindicates me again. Oh, looks like I know what I'm talking about. It's almost like I'm from the subcontinent and I do my homework.
BO, which it obviously does, has been significantly hampered by the fact that just weeks before this year's election began, tax agencies moved to freeze their bank accounts. And on the same day that was announced, the head of one of India's other opposition parties was arrested.
Wait, what is it?
And while his party never stood a realistic chance of challenging Modi, even so, its campaign has been significantly hampered by the fact that just weeks before this year's election began, tax agencies moved to freeze their bank accounts. And on the same day that was announced, the head of one of India's other opposition parties was arrested. And look, those could be just more lucky, complete coincidences for Modi.
Hi, dumb question, but genuine nonetheless. It's not a dumb question. Imran Khan didn't get ousted by America's demand. Okay, so let me explain what actually happened. When he originally got into power in the first place, you do not become the prime minister of Pakistan without the consent of the military. And that is how Imran Khan became prime minister of Pakistan to begin with. But there was an internal dispute later on. And there was it's a long story, but the idea is that he struggled to get the kind of support that he wanted from certain regions. And he also had an internal falling out with a general called Bajwa, right? A general named Bajwa. because effectively the military runs Pakistan, the military basically gave the go-ahead to force a parliamentary vote of no confidence against Imran Khan, and they got him out. One thing that people bring up with regards to America's involvement in Imran Khan's ouster is, one, the fact that he's saying that the U.S. tried to get him out. The second thing is Imran Khan was not sufficiently pro-U.S. on the Ukraine-Russia war. That's another thing that gets brought up. Again, that's not enough of a motivating reason for the U.S. to get Imran Khan out, because Imran Khan, when he was in power, he put Pakistan on the IMF's basically purse strings. The fact that Pakistan is dealing with a level of runaway inflation due to the IMF controlling their purse strings, that is a direct result of Imran Khan.
Except for the fact that over the years, multiple politicians who've opposed the BJP have found themselves facing charges of fraud or financial malfeasance, only for those charges to suddenly stall or be dropped when they switch parties and join the BJP instead. There's even a term for this, the washing machine, where supposedly dirty politicians come out clean once they switch sides. And it is a completely open secret there.
One opposition politician who joined the BJP in 2022 let the cat out of the bag when he said he sleeps easier now that he's a member of the ruling party.
I also had to switch to the BJP. Now I'm stress and tension free. All is good. No official inquiries, no investigation, and I can sleep peacefully. I'm tension free.
Yeah, everyone knows, yeah.
Wow! It is so universally understood. Everyone in that audience laughed. And
mandatory but unrelated but mandatory fuck you to Pawan Kalyan. You know what else is also mandatory? The top of the hour ad break.
And laughed so hard, honestly, I'm a little bit jealous. It kind of makes me wonder if I should have spent our last show admitting to political corruption instead of what were we talking about?
Papu Michael, the BJP is trying to gain the upper caste Hindu and Christian votes. So far, they're successful. Plus, the candidate is a famous actor who's campaigned for 6+ years. First chat. Can we get a first chat plus Giga Chat? Can we for Papu Michael?
I did 25 minutes on fucking corn, and people watched it. What exactly is this show? But in general, and to put it mildly, it seems good to be on Modi's good side and very, very bad to be on his bad side. And that brings us back to his attacks on Muslims. As I mentioned earlier, he and his party are adherents to Hindu nationalism, or Hindutva. It used to be a fringe ideology, but is now mainstream, and it's been said nobody has done more to advance this cause than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Muslims, as India's largest religious minority, have borne the brunt of this. Early this year, Modi famously opened an over $200 million Hindu temple, showing up personally to help consecrate it, which might seem benign until you learn that temple was built on the former site of this mosque that was demolished by a Hindu mob in 1992 in an incident that set off riots reportedly killing over 2,000 people, most of them Muslim. So it's a site of tremendous pain for Indian Muslims, and the symbolism of opening a temple on that exact spot has been called the crowning achievement of a national movement aimed at establishing Hindu supremacy in India. But the damage here isn't just symbolic. In the climate that Modi stoked, Muslims have been lynched by Hindu mobs over allegations of eating beef or smuggling cows, an animal considered holy to Hindus.
Okay, no, not holy to all Hindus, just upper caste Brahmins and upper caste, just upper caste North Indians and upper caste in general. Not, you come to South India, we eat beef. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, we all eat beef. Not all Hindus across the board consider beef to be, most Hindus, wrong. Upper caste Hindus think so. We literally have a festival in Chittor district where we literally slaughter goats for a local goddess, lol, and South Indians eat a lot of beef. Exactly. This is totally wrong.
And then there's been this.
Muslim-owned buildings are literally being bulldozed in what the government calls a crackdown on illegal construction and accused criminals. A brand of bulldozer.
Yeah, they've been bulldozing Muslim-owned homes. They've been bulldozing dargahs. They've been bulldozing mosques.
For justice, all too common in India.
That is awful, and it's happening so much now that bulldozer justice has become a commonly used term. In fact, the bulldozer itself has become a Hindu nationalist symbol, and it's been featured during election victories and in political rallies. This Hardline BJP leader has even earned the nickname.
Dr. Jagriti, beef is actually common among OBCs, SCs, and STs. It's just Uttar Pradesh right now that has been hijacked by BJP upper caste Brahmin culture. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Bulldozer Baba. And there's...
oh my God.
Hardline BJP leader has even earned the nickname Bulldozer Baba. And there's now a whole new genre of Hindu nationalist pop songs, or H-pop, as it's also known.
You've got to be kidding.
With bulldozers appearing front and centre, including this one, which, if you knew nothing else about it, would honestly sound pretty good.
I have to ask a question. Biharis, don't take offense to this. Is this Bhojpuri music? It's not? Okay, this is in Hindi. It's a Hindi... Okay, so it's Hindi, but it's in the style of Bhojpuri, basically.
Look, I hate what she's saying, but the way she's saying it is undeniably catchy.
Yeah, Bhojpuri... Listen, Bhojpuri music... Bhojpuri slaps. Listen, Bhojpuri actually slaps.
All that bulldozer video really needed was Bob the Builder shaking his ass to it. Oh, I'm sorry, did you not know about Bob? There were 2 dump trucks on that show.
Yeah, I actually fuck with Bhojpuri. Like, I actually fuck with Bhojpuri, unironically.
The biggest one was in his overalls. And while Muslims are a minority in India, there are still 200 million of them, the equivalent of nearly 2/3 of the United States.
There are nearly as many Muslims in India as the entire population of Pakistan, for the record.
And violence on the rise. It is no wonder many are feeling increasingly targeted and in incredibly grim ways.
Muslim shopkeepers.
I have Muslim friends. I have Indian Muslim friends, by the way, and they have been through. They've had to deal with some crazy shit.
Kicking a group of Muslim men praying by the side of the road. The video went viral. The officer suspended.
Does anyone have the clip of the old man, of the old Muslim dude, like, crying? That shit, like, made me cry. That shit made me cry.
Another police officer arrested for killing 3 Muslims on a train, praising the prime minister while standing over their bodies.
Yeah. And it's worth remembering, that is not a bug of Modi's leadership, it is a feature. So given all of this, what can we do? Well, for those of us who don't live in India, nothing really. Also, asking a
Speak for yourself, boss.
British person, what should we do about India?
Why were they killed? I think I remember covering the story. That cop was crazy. I remember covering that story at one point. I think it was because that cop was just nuts to begin with. But it is partially due to the Islamophobia. We'll watch that.
It's a little bit dangerous, as we tend to have quite a lot of ideas, none of which should be listened to. But as an international community, it seems past time to stop the uncritical, fawning praise of a man who is, to put it mildly, a deeply complicated figure. So maybe we could at least stop comparing him to Bruce Springsteen. And when you talk about what he's done for India, at least acknowledge that while, yes, he's responsible for giving bags of grain to people, he's also responsible for some getting sent bulldozers. And it should be possible to acknowledge the good things that Modi's managed to do for India, while acknowledging that many Indians live in active fear of what he seems more than happy to represent. And I know that this episode is almost definitely not going to end up airing in India, and depending on what they do with the laws around YouTube, I'm not totally sure what'll happen to it.
What the fuck? Who said Springsteen? Albanese, or whatever the fuck Australia's prime minister's name is.
They're either.
Yeah, he said Modi, like, Australia's prime minister said, like, Modi drew a bigger crowd than Springsteen or some shit.
So if this show does get taken down, and if you have friends or family living in India who would like to see it, just encourage them to visit oppositesnakes.com, where they'll find tons of fascinating facts on opposite snakes, as well as a 25-minute video titled Opposite Snakes, which is, in fact, this entire story. Alternatively, you can send them to howtoeatmangoes.com, which features this video promising tips in Hindi on mango eating technique, but is, again, this entire story instead. And if any of Modi's people take offence at...
Wolf, I got it. I got it pulled up.
I'm not remotely scared of you. In fact, I'll meet you and your stupid bulldozers in front of this studio right here in Los Angeles, or my name is not Bill Maher, which it very much is. And now, this.
This legit made me cry.
हमसे कहते भागो पाकिस्तान हम पाकिस्तान के नहीं हैं हम हिंदुस्तान के हैं समझे क्या बताऊं आपको रोटी मिलना मुश्किल हो रही है बहु बेटे कहते रोटी नहीं है तुम्हारे लिए कहां जाऊं हम सड़क पर जाऊं भीख मांगू जाके
He's an old man that just wants he's just trying to put food on the table and he's telling everyone like, yo, I'm not from Pakistan, I'm from India. It sucks. This man loves a bunch of people that will never love them. Like he loves a country that won't love him back. He has to walk all the way to get a procedure done.
बच्चे को सुनते नहीं है क्या करूं पैसा नहीं है पैदल जाना पड़ता है गाड़ी पे लोग बिठा के जाते हैं अंकल जी आप मैं कहां जाऊंगा मैं कहां जाऊं बताइए मेरे साथ का मेरा एक फेफड़ा खराब हो चुका